He's like, what's your name? And I said, Charles. And he's like, oh, but Carlos? He heard an accent. So he's like, Carlos? Yeah. I'm like, no, it's Charles. He's like, oh, you're Hispanic? I was like, no, I'm not Hispanic. He's like, oh, you're Carlo. Carlo, Italiano. I'm like, no, I'm not Italian. I have roots Italian. I speak the language, but I'm not Italian. But he got confused. I'm like, no, actually, my name is Charles. He's like, France. Oh, I love France. Oh, France. Oh my God. I'm like, no, I'm Lebanese. And he's like, Lebanese. Oh, so what's your real Arabic name? Muhammad? I'm like, how can my name be Muhammad and I'm at freaking church going to Easter?
Welcome to One in Tribe. I am your host, Julie Fidalgo. And today I have Charles Marina with me.
Yay,
Hi, Charles.
it's me. I'm Charles. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Good. I have a feeling this is going to be a fun episode.
I think so. I hope so. Otherwise, you get maximum deleted, and then no one's gonna see this.
Never.
Never. Thank you.
So, Charles, I think we're both pretty comfortable in front of the camera, but we're going to play a little game just to get a
Okay.
little bit more comfortable.
Okay.
And it's a game of this or that.
This or that. Okay.
Excuse me. Early bird or night owl?
Early birds.
Beach or mountains?
Beach. No sand
Like,
though. No sand. No sand.
how can
Like,
you have a beach with no sand,
you know
Charles?
what? I love the sand. I don't want those sands to get between my like toes. This is so, and I'm a hairy person, so the sand goes into the hair and sticks. No, Julie, no sand. Believe me, no sand. I know from fact, no sand.
Okay, fine. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson.
Night in or night out?
Night, night out, and then in after that.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Okay. Yay. I like milk
Yay.
chocolate too.
Yeah, I love milk chocolate.
Well, now that we've done a little introduction and people know a little bit about you, let's get to know you on a deeper level.
Oh my gosh. Should I take my intestines out or reach to my heart? This is my heart.
I do want a piece of your heart, though.
Okay, that's easy, Julie.
Yeah.
Anything for you.
Aw. So, Charles,
Yes.
let's start at the beginning. Where
At the
were you
beginning.
born?
Born in Lebanon in 1982. And my mom, her water broke in the bathroom because guess what? I was born in the war. Yay! Nothing new for Lebanon. So the water broke in the bathroom. And that's why I have a shitty life because I was born in the bathroom. So, joking. But yeah, it is. Really, her water broke in the bathroom and they had to rush her last minute to the hospital. And that's how I came Charles in Lebanon. My real name, by the way, a lot of people they ask, what's your real name? I'm like, Charles.
Is it
Charles.
really?
It's real, yeah. It's in Arabic, in Lebanese, it's Char. We have the French pronunciation for it, which is Charles or Charles. In English, it's Charles. So that's the real name. Born in
Okay.
Lebanon.
So, for our audience members, this is a podcast for the West,
Yes.
and a lot of people might not know history of Lebanon. In 1982, you said you were born in a war. What war was it?
It was, well, it was. We had the Civil War, but this one. By the way, maybe my cat's gonna jump at in this podcast because he feels that he's entitled to be in this shot.
Aw.
Okay. Well, the war was exactly it was Sharon attacking the Palestinian militia in Lebanon, and at like they were going at it. At the same time, we had a civil war. So it was a civil war. It was everyone playing their games. It was Syrian government, Israeli government, Persian, the same. Like now, it's like Iranian government, United States, all the big players were playing their chess game in Lebanon. And 1982, actually June 4th, the day I was born, it was when Sharon was like really attacking and going into Beirut.
Okay. And
Yeah.
Sharon, again, for our Western audience, is
Is the old Netanyahu. So Netanyahu is, is the oh my gosh,
Prime
the
Minister.
not prime minister. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So you were born in 1982, and then what happened?
Uh, we lost our house. Again, I'm not saying this for like, feel, no, no, no. I still own it. I still got used to it. But this is exactly what happened. So my mom left the house to deliver me in the hospital, lost the house. We couldn't go back. So that's out of the way. For 2 years, we were from one place to another place. Mind you, we had the place also in Beirut, a building that my dad built, but we couldn't be in it because you had some people taking over the building, so we couldn't even access the building. So for 2 years, I was between uh, shelters and houses that, cousins and friends, and finally we settled in Beirut, and finally that war has ended. But then 1989, another war started now between the Christians, like they're having fight together because this crazy about Lebanon. You always have like people fighting with outside and between each other. So that was actually, it was 1989 first war. It was between the Lebanese army and the Syrian army, and then between the Lebanese army and the militia, the Christian militia. And of course we had to escape our house again, and then losing a lot of stuff. And I remember that war exactly because we had to escape our house. I was 7, yeah, 7 into 8. I escaped the house. That my dad stayed in the building. We went for a month. I left my dad with black hair, like my hair. I came back. My dad's hair was all white in a month. White. I didn't recognize my father. I was like, who is this person that I'm walking into the house? And I didn't know. So that was a very like shift in my life. And I know that because guess what? I go to psychology, and I have a psychologist and psychiatrist and therapist and life coach and everything you would need to continue. So that was a shift where, how we say before 9/11, after 9/11. For me, it was before 7 years old and after 7 years old. So after that, I had a lot of shifts in like a lot of trauma that built then, and anger, a lot of anger, a lot of fight and flight every day came from that moment.
And Charles, what's it like? Obviously, I can't imagine, and most people can't imagine what it's like to be raised in the middle of a war.
And hopefully you never experience it. No one should
Yeah.
experience that.
I mean, I can't even imagine, right? But do you go to school? Are you
Yeah,
every
oh yes.
day? Yeah,
You
you do go to school?
see, that's the trauma by itself, where you get numb to the bombs and the destruction around you. So, you'll be in school and you hear a missile and you're like, oh yeah, it's a missile. It's like maybe 10 kilometers away. So I'm fine. Like you see the bombarding, you see everything, but you're getting used to it. That you continue your life knowing, as long as you're still breathing, you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm fine, you know, actually, there is a video now circulating on social media. Although I don't go that much on social media, but my friend who did a movie called 1982, which about that. It's a beautiful movie. His name Walid Mannes, great director, Lebanese, and in his movie there is a scene where the students are in the class looking at the strikes getting to Beirut. I got goosebumps yesterday because he sent me a video, a real video of students in class right now in Beirut looking and taking videos of the bombarding and airstrikes in Beirut. So it's like the same thing. And you get used to it. You get used to that feeling. You get used to that, oh, this person died. This person died. Oh, yeah. But it's not good to be numb to these things and getting used to it. That's
Oof, that's,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
yeah,
Um, okay, so you lived through war, and then did the war end,
yeah. The
or
war
was it?
ended 1990. Ended, ended. Let me put ended 1990. And of course, uh, I I would say a good thing came out of that war is I built up my imagination, and that's when my acting, that's the actor, Charles the actor, came to be alive because this is how I lived in the imagination. I lived in creating characters and living the dreams and creating theater for people in the shelter. And, that's where, um, after that, the war ended. Of course, now we have 19 to 21 sects in Lebanon. So now every sect, they're gonna try to gather themselves and pick themselves up and try to get the power again, which is it's so ridiculous. We're such a small country that we can work together and we don't need to cancel each other. But we are the chess pieces, and the big companies are playing us in Lebanon. So that after that, there is another war happened in 1996. It was Israel attacking Hezbollah in the south. It was a bit far from where I was, but still, you're still in that. You hear the airplanes, you see the news. You're living the same thing. You're living the same cycle of seeing people dying, kids dying, families destroyed, and yeah, that's 1996.
And
And
I'm sorry, when did you leave Lebanon?
I left Lebanon 2006. Funny enough, I I came to the United States on June 29th, 2006, and guess what? In July 12th, 2006, another war broke in Lebanon and I got stuck here. And the reason actually I came, I always wanted to come to Hollywood. I wanted to be here since I was a kid because this is my dream. But I was like, let me, because I was on the Arabic and Lebanese version of Saturday Night Live. So I was making it in Lebanon and everything. But I was like, you know what? Let me go try do a workshop for a month in the U.S. In Hollywood. Try it before I go back to Lebanon and continue my work. And yeah, I came here and I got stuck. And all of a sudden, I went from being a student and tourist to a refugee in the United States. Like in a split of a second, I couldn't go back to my country. And yeah, that's that. And of course, I found my agent, they did my paperwork, and the rest is history. Hi, Robin, my agent.
She's your agent until today?
She's still my agent until today.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And where are your parents? And do you have siblings?
Yeah, so everyone is in Lebanon. Everyone stayed in Lebanon. My mom passed away 2 years ago, and I have my two sisters, niece, nephew, and brother-in-law. We have a small and cousins, and a lot of friends that very close. They're still in Lebanon.
And are they far away from what's happening right now?
No, no, they're all in it. Like, in Beirut, I have people in the south. The people in the south, they all left, and people in Beirut, they're all over Beirut. So, and they work, where all the bombarding and, destruction happening around it. Yeah, so in a way, I have a lot because we live. Also, for the people who don't know, during the civil war in Lebanon, we had Beirut, South Beirut, East Beirut, and East. My gosh, and
West.
South West Beirut. Thank you. East and West. That's what happened when you speak four languages and you're trying to get what's the word? So East and West, usually we had, it was between like Muslim and Christian. So West Beirut was the Muslim area, and then East Beirut was the Christian area. I lived in East Beirut, and of course now it's open, but for a long time we couldn't go cross on this side, or people on this side cross to this side. It would be like you would be, there's checkpoints, and again, it was a very dirty civil war. Everyone got died in, Muslims lost families and Christians lost families, and it's hard. It's hard, and it's, yeah.
It's such a pity because I've been to Beirut. I've been to Lebanon twice, and my family on my mom's side is
Yeah.
Lebanese. And Beirut is one of my favorite cities in the world. I,
Yeah, thank
the
It
person I
is.
went with, who was my roommate, she's Muslim, but she actually lived in Brumana, which is the
Yeah.
Christian side,
Which is,
in the mountains.
and it's hard to
And
say Christian and Muslim because we should just be Lebanese. That's
yeah,
the fact. But unfortunately, it is. This is how it is in Lebanon.
yeah. Well, she was a Muslim living in
In
the
Burma, yeah.
Christian area.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went twice and I had the time of my life, but people don't, they can't imagine what it's like. But it's such a beautiful
It's
city and country, and you have the mountains and you have the
yeah.
beach, you
It's
have it
it's
all.
it's like I. That's why I love LA. That's why I am in LA, because Los Angeles and Beirut are sister cities. So they have the same climate, the same mount, like the same, uh, like the geography. It's beautiful. You have the mountain, the beach, the snow, the sun. Everything is there, and yeah, and nightlife is beautiful. Culture. It's vibrant. It's a vibrant city. The difference in Beirut, that the Beirut doesn't sleep until like 5 6 in the morning. Like in LA is like 1:30 p.m. and you're done. A.m. and you're like you're home. And so but I still love LA as well. So not
Oh,
to shit on LA.
no, I know. It's so funny because there's a nightclub in Beirut called BO18.
Yo 18, yep. It is a
And
shelter. It's like it is like kind of like you go underneath the ground, and yeah.
yes, and when
Crazy.
the sun comes up, the roof opens
Open.
because I guess there was a massacre there, right?
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
people are, they have their hands up and they're doing this while they're dancing, and it's the
yeah.
representation of the people that died there, like
Yeah, yeah.
begging
See,
for
it's in the
life.
culture. It's in, and that's why also for me, that's why I wanted to come to LA in 2006, because in my mind, I looked at it this way: every 20 years we have war in Lebanon, regardless who's making it. And my dad lost three houses, lost all of his fortune and money and business because of those wars. So I looked at it this way. I was like, you know what? I don't know if there's no stability, and I don't know if I want to invest now my time and energy and money here. Let me go try outside. And sure enough, as soon as I arrived to LA, the war happened, and now there's another war happening in Lebanon, and it's hard to see. I see my friends who are my age. They have three kids, four kids, two kids. They have beautiful houses. They're established, well off, and they're going through the same thing that my dad went through, his dad went through. It's always the same thing.
Same
Yeah.
story. And
And
do you go
so,
back and visit?
yeah, usually I go like every year. I was supposed to go this year. I didn't because of the situation. And yeah, I go every year. I need that dose of going to Lebanon every year. You have to, it's and my family is there.
And Charles, what would you say is the biggest misconception of Arabs?
Well,
Where do we start?
where do I start? Where do I start? At this moment, biggest misconception about Arabs that they're not humans. Guess what, guys? We have a skin, we have blood, we get sick, and when we are hungry, we get hungry, and we die. We die, and we have souls. Souls. Yes, that's the biggest misconception about Arabs right now. You know, that's the fact. uh, and not being cultivated, not having culture, anything that diminishes Arabs. And I will say this: I'm lucky that I never. I'm lucky I was born in Lebanon. I was raised in Lebanon because if I was born here and raised here, I would have more discrimination against me and felt it in my body. I came here when I was 24, so I was more stronger. I knew who I was. I knew exactly who I was, and but I see the difference between me and someone who was born here as an Arab, and you see the discrimination that they went through and it affected them. And I'm like, thank God I didn't go through that. But still, it's there. Like now, especially now, you see like people, oh yeah, well, 40,000 people, that's what we know. 100 actually, 1,000 people died, and we still don't care. How can you do that? How can you not care? You know? Regardless, I don't want to go. I don't like politics, by the way. I really against politics whatsoever. Even in Sweden, everyone's like Sweden, Netherlands. The politicians are very nice. Yes, they are. But guess what? Politicians are freaking politicians. They've been using that textbook since 5,000 years. It worked back then. It's working now, and I don't believe in politics. I believe there is innocent people on the ground dying. Period. Period. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen my family go, like it was hard. Like my mom tells me stories. I'm sorry, I'm going through stories, but I don't want to go off the. Tell me stories like when I was a kid, how we were going into that car, escaping, and then the snipers like shooting at us, and she put her body over us, so if something happens she dies. Like that story, can you imagine that story? You hear it. that's Here you go to Starbucks, and if your cafe latte is not the way you want it, you're like, oh my gosh, my latte is. Or if Starbucks didn't put a freaking Christmas decoration on their cup, people will freak out. So which, but this is the culture also here. Thank God in the US we didn't go through this, and I would hope we never go through this. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's first world problems, right?
Yeah, first world problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Oof. Ah, okay. So
I
where
know.
do we go from here?
Where do you go from here? That's my question every day, especially in Lebanon. Where do we go from here? Like every day in Lebanon, that's how you do. Like you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm still alive. Okay, where do we go from here? And that's why, the beauty of Lebanese, and I'm gonna talk about Lebanon because I'm Lebanese. I don't wanna be like, yes, I am Arab. And also it depends. There's a lot of actually people who would argue with me like, oh, Lebanese are not Arabs. Or some people say we speak the language, but some people and some historians they would be like, no, like our roots are different, and they go. But I don't want to go through that because you know what? I'm not a historian. I didn't do the research, so I speak the language. So I'm gonna say Lebanon is an Arabic country. Actually, in history in Lebanon, in our schools, they say Lebanon is a country with an influence of Arabic. It has an Arabic influence on it, something like this. The exact word in English I cannot translate, so but it is an Arabic country. But I'm gonna talk about Lebanon when I say us because I don't want to. I'm not Jordanian. I'm not Egyptian. I'm not Syrian or Palestinian. So I'm gonna just speak. So as Lebanese, when we wake up in the morning, we're like, okay, where do you go from here? Because every day and that's why we have sense of humor. Like we just that's our coping by humor and living and partying.
Well, it's fun. In Portuguese, we say tem que rir para não chorar, which means we have to laugh to not cry.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's a
I
survival. And,
Yeah,
you're a very funny guy. You're a comedian, right? And I think it's taking that pain that you've always had your entire life and turning it into something positive, or else you're
you
going to just,
have, yeah, you have
shrivel
to.
and die.
Yeah, you have to. If you don't laugh at it, I did something. I was at an event yesterday. I'm not gonna go into details because I feel if I say the story, it's gonna haunt me the story later in 10 years from now, and someone's
Don't.
gonna dig dirt. Oh, you did this! How dare you? I'll tell you later what I exactly did, but I was at a party and then you have to put your name, and I put a name that it was funny for me, and I made people laugh. Although some people they had like eyebrows, like what? How dare you doing this joke? I was like, well, if we don't laugh now, we're not gonna laugh later. So yeah, you're true. That's totally true. If you don't laugh about it, you get stuck in it.
For sure. So you moved to LA in 2006 to pursue
Acting.
acting.
Yep.
And how's it going so far?
It's going very good. You know, when you arrive to LA, you have a concept that, okay, you have to be like such and such. You know, like you have to make it. If you're a girl, it used to be like, oh, you have to be the new Julia Roberts in LA. And now your stakes are so high and you're doing everything and you forget that you have to be you and your essence. It took me a second to adjust because I come from Lebanon, and in Lebanon, the acting, the comedy is very physical, very Jerry Lewis comedy. Jim Carrey was still one of my favorite comedians. And then you come here and everything is like inside, very subtle, so I had to balance, and while I'm balancing, you start losing your essence because you're not being yourself. But it took a second to adjust between what the market wants here and what I am without losing myself. And everyone wants, I have a very ambiguous look, so I go for everything. I still have I don't want to say I have an accent because every person has an accent, so I still don't master the American standards dialect. So, and I don't want, because this is who I am. And I did a lot of commercials. Commercials got it before films and TV. That diversity and having an accent, they're like, we don't care. We want people to buy, and we want everyone. Now you can see the shift the last like 5 6 years, where if in TV and films, if someone is Lebanese, they will try to get a Lebanese person to play that role. If someone is Palestinian or someone is Nigerian or Muslim, it has to be a Muslim person representing that role, which is good, and good for us people who, people of color and diversity in Hollywood. You know.
Well, you said people of color. Now, we talked a little bit before our interview, and
Oh.
you said something about Lebanese. Can you talk
Oh
about
my
that?
gosh, yeah. Okay, so in Lebanon, everyone is like me, which is considered white. This is white. There's no one else other than this. As soon as I arrived to LAX, and I have like in LA, like I had this dream coming here, getting famous, and lying naked on Malibu, drinking my martini, and and being discovered. And guess what? As soon as I arrived to the airport, I was discovered by the TSA, and then I was naked because they searched me and I was naked. I'm joking, I wasn't naked, but like it's just a joke. But to my surprise, as soon as I arrived to LA, I went from being white to being brown. I'm like, what? How the? Never registered in my mind. So I did my best in the beginning to fight it. I was like, no, I'm not brown. I'm white. And I did my best to look white. I drank white wine. I did yoga. I did all of these things to be as white as I could. And but at the end, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna give in. I'm brown, and this is who I am, and that's it. So I was fine until 2018 when I got my citizenship. I went to apply for the citizenship, and on the papers, on the document, they listed Lebanese under white race. I'm like, what the? My entire I got shattered because for that long I'm brown, and then all of a sudden I became American, which also, am I American now? Am I Lebanese? That's identity crisis. On top of that, race crisis. Who am I? Am I white? Am I brown? And I wanted to know why Lebanese. And it lists Lebanese white. Well, I digged not that hard because Google has. Oh, so sorry. Ah,
That was
I
so
thought that I'm
dramatic.
gonna have bleeding from my nose, and that's why.
You're
So
bleeding? You're bleeding?
no, I thought I'm gonna have bleeding from my nose because sometimes it happens when I get excited. It wasn't.
Oh,
So should we go back or I continue the story?
no, I'm not editing this.
Okay.
Keep
No,
going.
so I discovered that in 1909, a Lebanese guy named George Shim. Oh my God, I forgot his last name. Shim something. George. He's a cop. He was a police in LA. He pulled over a white guy. And the white guy was very offended that George, he was Lebanese, were considered Mongolians back then. Yeah. He was offended that he pulled him over, and this guy who was pulled over, he was like the son of a very big judge in LA. So, or politician. So George, he's like, no, I am not Mongolian. I'm white, and I have the right to pull you over because the guy said you don't have the right. You're not white. So of course he took it to the court, George, and with the support of a lot of Lebanese and Syrian community, actually, they put money, and they proved that Lebanese are the race are coming from Caucasus, which is not. And of course, George looked at the judge and he said, "Listen, Your Honor, well, if I'm considered Mongolian, so Jesus, because he comes from the same land I come from." And that's when the judge is like, "Oh, no, no, if Jesus is white, so you're white. Lebanese are white. Boom, white." And this is how Lebanese were considered white. They are listed as white people since 1909.
But wait one second. I thought you said when you got to LAX, they said you were. Oh no, recently it said that you're
Recent,
brown.
yeah.
Recently it became
Yeah.
brown.
When I moved, no, when I arrived to LA, like in 2006, all of a sudden, everyone around me, like in school, my friends, when I say I'm white, they're like, "Oh no, you're not white. No, no, you're brown." I'm like, "But I'm white." And then I was like, "Okay, I'm brown, whatever." And then I discovered in 2018 that I'm not. I'm considered white on paper. And now, actually, there is, I think, a Lebanese guy who's fighting it to be under MENA. So to add MENA, Middle Eastern, North African, on the race, because a lot of places they don't have the MENA. They don't have, they have white or Hispanic, Native American, but they don't have MENA. Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny that
So
you talk about
Jesus
that.
made me white. Because of
Yes.
Jesus, I'm considered white. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. Well, it's funny because even with me, I'm Brazilian, but I don't consider myself white. I consider myself olive.
Yeah, that's the thing. I consider myself olive, but in Lebanon we don't say we never go. We say we have an olive skin, but we still think that we're white. I have an olive skin, but in my mind we're white. But then all of a sudden you have this. I think here in the US we like to put people in categories because it's easier to be racist or easier to know how to talk to people. When you're mixed, it's crazy. I was in church, I think like 5 years ago, going on Easter. I'm a CEO. You know what CEO is?
No.
CEO is a Catholic. What CEO? Catholic only something. You know what? And now I'm blanking on that joke. Never mind. Edit. You cannot edit anything. Damn it. Damn
No.
it. This podcast. Damn it. This podcast.
But I'm curious now what CEO is, so we're gonna
CEO,
have to figure it out afterwards.
Christmas, Easter only Catholic. So when you say CEO Catholic, it's Christmas, Easter only Catholic. So I was going to church on Easter, and there's a line. There's lines everywhere here. I don't understand. Like in Lebanon, you don't have lines. Like you just go like this. In here, to go to church, because there is a lot of people to go into the church, so there is a line to go into the church. And the guy in front of me, very nice older white man, he's like, "What's your name?" And I said, "Charles." And he's like, "Oh, but Carlos." He heard an accent, so he's like, "Carlos." Yeah. I'm like, "No, it's Charles." He's like, "Oh, you're Hispanic?" I was like, "No, I'm not Hispanic." He's like, "Oh, you're Carlo, Italiano." I'm like, "No, no, I'm not Italian. I have roots Italian. I speak the language, but I'm not Italian." But he got confused. I'm like, "No, actually, my name is Charles." He's like, "French. Oh, I love France. Oh, France. Oh my." I'm like, "No, I'm Lebanese." And he's like, "Lebanese. Oh, so what's your real Arabic name? Muhammad?" I'm like, "How can my name be Muhammad and I'm at freaking church going to Easter? How on earth? Get it right, man. Get it right." And we're not talking he's like 15 or 20. He's like 70-year-old white man that he could have did his research. I got so pissed. In like less than a minute, I went in five identities. So yeah,
Well,
fun.
this is why, again, I keep on saying this is why I'm doing this podcast, right? It's people have no idea, and it's time that they know. We
And
share a
e-
earth, all of us.
exactly, and
We
just
are
for, yeah, we
we are
share
all humans, right? So
totally.
let's just see each other as a human being.
And also for the people who are watching, guys, there is name that we have. Yes, there is Arabic names, and there is like some Arabic names are, that it's a Muslim name like Muhammad, Ahmad, Hassan, these names. But also there is Arabic names that they could be anyone and anything. And there's also names are Christian names and doesn't have to be Christian, but you will find George. My dad is George, Paul, but we say George. We don't say George, we say George, Paul, Tony. So those are the names. So just to let you know, guys, if you're watching this, there is everyone in the Middle East. Like in Iraq, there is also everyone. There is everything. So we're not just, and that we go back to that dehumanization. That, oh yeah, they're all this, they're all terrorists, they're all, and they deserve it. No, no. So
Yeah, that's so true. So true. So, what are you working on right now?
right now, I am working on a lot of stuff. Uh, I'm working on a show called Immigrants. I'm very excited about it. So, Immigrants is a comedy. If Larry David wrote Friends with people of color, would be this show. So that's like, and we shot it. We shot the pilot, and we've been going around with it, with meeting with studios. Of course, SAG strike didn't help us. In a way, didn't help us because it delayed us, but at the same time, it helped us in a way where we understood more the project. When you're excited to do something. So, and we have very good news coming up soon. I cannot announce it. So maybe Mustafa, the creator of the show, he will announce it with you later. And that's what I'm working on. And I'm working actually on a one-man show that all these stories that I went through in the US, I put them all in one show, and I'm excited about it. So I just finished writing it, and hopefully I'll be able to have it out in January. Like it's a one-man show as on stage.
On stage. Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
But the plan is to put it on stage and from there take it to a TV, make it a TV show, like like a Fleabag, and the my big Greek fat wedding. Oh my gosh,
My big fat Greek
fat
wedding.
Greek wedding. Yes, like she had it as a show and then she made it a movie. So that's the plan for this one, because all these stories that I'm such a I don't follow rules, that much. So, or let's say this, between the rules, I find the leeway between the rules. I do follow the rule, but then I was like, oh, we can do this. Did someone did that before? No, I will do that. So, those are the stories that I have in that show.
Well, you must have, I mean, just the stories that you've shared today. I can't imagine, all of the other stories you
Oh
have.
yeah. Oh,
But
I it'll be a next episode. Another
yes,
episode.
yeah. Awesome. And anything else you want to share with the audience, or do you want to leave us with the message about Lebanese or
Uh,
anything you want to share?
you know, Lebanon is it's a great country. It's not because I'm from Lebanon or every person would say this is a great country. Like they would go and be like, my country is a great country. We have 7,000 years of culture and civilization. The thing is with Lebanon, that's as much we have a saying in Lebanon that God created Lebanon and this beautiful heaven, and but at the same time, we have a curse that there is a players around us, bigger countries where we're always affected by those players, and that's the thing. That's the fact. Since 7,000 years, we're all because Lebanon is the entire Lebanon is on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, so we've been invaded by everybody. The Romans, the Greek, the Melikiyin. I cannot. I'm not translate. I cannot translate now the names. We've been invaded by everyone, and we've been open to everyone. If you do our DNA, we're like everything. So in a way, we got used to it that everyone is invading us. But I would wish that one day we become just Lebanese, just Lebanon. We don't want to be affected. We don't want to be affected by anyone around us. If the government of Israel wants to be Israel, let them be, but I don't want them to be in my land. If the government of Syria want to do whatever in Syria, but I don't want them to be in my land and affecting me. The United States, they want to play their games with Iran, let them play it. And Iran want to play with the United States, let them play it outside of Lebanon. I make a joke about it. I'm like, guys, come on. The Olympics every 4 years, you choose a different country. Can you do it like the Olympics? Can you play your proxy game somewhere else? Like, can you do you take a name every 4 years? Okay, now it's the turn of Switzerland to have the proxy war of Iran and Israel. Let's go to Switzerland. And because we're done. We are done. Every 10, 20 years we have a proxy war. And we're beautiful country, beautiful people, so fun. Like you go there, food, culture, arts. It's vibrant. It's so vibrant. And it's so similar. Like seriously, you know how many times I remember I was at Banana Republic. That was maybe 10 years ago. This moment was very specific because I was waiting in line and I see two ladies. Both of them, they had a veil. One spoke to the other. They don't know each other. They're like customers. But one spoke to the other and she's like, "Can you help me with this?" But she spoke in Hebrew. She thought the other lady is Jewish. The other lady was Arab, Muslim, and I was laughing. I looked at this. I was like, "Look how beautiful this is." You know, they both had a headscarf. They both dressed almost this kind of the same tone. And I looked at that. I was like, "This is so beautiful. Why can't we be this? Why can't we just?" And they were laughing. They were talking. And this is by the end of the day, this is it. It's not Jewish, it's not Muslim, it's not Christian. It's like humans. And let's just be us. Can we do that? But unfortunately, politicians don't want us to be like this. That's why I go back to politics. That's why I don't believe in, Democrats, Republicans, this or that. They're all playing us. They want us to get more and more the gap so they can control. And yeah, that's just visit Lebanon, guys. Not now, because you would die if you go now. Come visit though. Seriously, when you can go to Lebanon.
Yeah. Well, that was that was a great interview. I had so much fun. I
Thank
hope
you.
that
Thank you for doing this, Julie. Thank you. I really appreciate. That's why when you told me, I was like, "Oh, yes, I wanna jump," and especially, because you and I like what you're intentions are and your target. It's not you don't want it politics and blaming and pointing fingers. Because I learned, and that's what I also want people to know. Do they all they want is for us to blame and point fingers. Don't do that. Don't. And I get it. I know if a mother who is Palestinian lost her kids because of a soldier or Israeli person, I'm pretty sure she's gonna say, "I hate these people," and vice versa. A Christian Lebanese who got killed by a Muslim or a Druze would say that, and vice versa. A Druze who got killed by. I saw firsthand civil war, and guess what? At the end, the person who died, their family will mourn, and the politicians who were the problem, they will shake hands and continue their lives. When I saw that, I understood it's not about anymore being Muslim or Christian or Druze or Jewish or whatever it is. It's we go back to what you were saying. We're humans on this earth, and the ego, get away from the ego. But it's hard because when they keep fueling things every day on both ends, you're not gonna be able to wake up and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be zen today," and you're gonna wake up running with your kids and being like, "Oh my gosh," and your kid was gonna ask you, "Who's bombarding us?" and you're gonna say so and so. Guess what? That kid is gonna grow up thinking that so and so is a bad person. And I'm saying so and so because I really don't want to blame. I don't want to just say one or one. So and so. Because whoever doing a war, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't. They're not humans. Whoever on Earth, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, there's no war. Oh, actually, there is a war in Europe. Ukraine.
Yeah.
In Ukraine, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you, I saw. Am I going over? Because I'm so excited about this.
No, no, keep
Last
going, keep
I
going.
was watching this documentary, and Ukrainians were blaming the Ukrainian government. They were in shelters. That was actually it was nominated for an Oscar last year, and they were blaming the Ukrainian, other than just Russia bombarding them, because people on the floor they're seeing that politics are not helping, politicians are not helping. And that's why I connected with these people. I was like, yeah, what's happening in Ukraine, the same thing what happened in Lebanon. It's a proxy war. And it's the worst.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the division that the Western media and the politics are creating between people, but we are the majority, the
Yeah.
humans, and
Yeah,
we have
totally.
to be strong and we cannot allow them to divide us. And we want to all come together. That I'm getting emotional, but that's my wish for the world
Yeah. Yeah.
is for us to just all see each other as humans, you know,
I,
and all get along.
and believe me, we're all being racist. We're all being fanatic. We're all like, I mean, not fanatic as, but like it's moment of you think about this. I saw this TED talk with this beautiful lady. I forgot her name, veiled lady. She said, "Ask when you see someone that you feel, just go say hello. Talk to them. Period." And believe me, that's what I do, and that's why I love the United States, and that's why I came here, and that's why we should be careful in the United States not to have division and being divided, like to end up being in a civil war where be careful. And this is my because here that's the beauty here you have everyone, and people are good people in the United States. We sometimes we have a bad rep for the outside or the Arab world. They look at some in the US, they be like, oh, because they see what the US politics are doing in the but the people in the United States are very good people, nice people. They help. So we go back to that. We're all the same.
I think at the end of the day, politicians do not represent the people. And that is the
Yeah.
bottom line. And we cannot allow what the politicians are doing to affect us.
Exactly. Yeah, we should be always be careful. that, yes, we have to play the game of the politicians because this is the system. We need those people. But at the same time, we shouldn't be like, oh, he said that, that means this is true. No, he said that. Let me go check the facts. Let me make sure that this is the right thing. It's not like, yeah.
Exactly. The knowledge is out, the information is out there. Go do your research.
And
Start watching this podcast.
And exactly, start watching this podcast. Please do. And I have a good feeling about this podcast. I have a very good feeling about this podcast because it's coming from a good place, and you're passionate about it. So
Very.
thank you
Charles,
so much.
it has been so much fun.
Same
Wallah,
here.
it's
Same
been
here.
so good.
I didn't even think what we were talking. Like we just went with it, and here we are.
So much fun. Thank you so, so much from the
Well,
deepest part of my heart.
same here.
I
Thank you
think
for giving me the opportunity and to put the light on myself and my culture and Lebanon and the Arabs.
awesome. We'll end
Thank
it
you.
right there because I think that's a
Yeah.
perfect place to end.
Yes. I don't want to say anything bad anymore.
Yeah. Mwah. Big kiss, Charles.
Bye. Bye. Ciao. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. We had to re record because I forgot to mention where our audience can find you, Charles.
Well, they can find me in my house in Studio City. That would be all like just don't come like at night, so that would be bad. So, well, you can find me on Instagram. Usually, I'm on Charles Marina on Instagram, and then with the show. Immigrants, you can find it on immigrantscomedyseries.com, and we have it on Instagram and on YouTube. You can follow us there, and you will have fun, and you can watch actually the pilot. So that's exciting. You want to watch the pilot? Go to immigrantscomedyseries.com.
Perfect, perfect. And to the audience, please like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you want to do with this podcast, because I really want this message to just go all around the world. And
And
with
if you
you,
do
my
that,
audience,
if you do that, you'll get baklava from Sogarina. That's another business I do. Not to sell now my business, but also another business. It's a decadent baklava called Sogarina, which is I do it because of my great grandmother. She had this recipe, and now it's for everyone
that's good to know. But do you only deliver in LA
in the
or
United
is it
States, all over the United States.
all over the United States?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So can you just spell that out just for our
S
audience to be able?
yes, Sogarina. Sogarina.
Perfect. Great, Charles. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you. Thank you so much.
appreciate you.
Of
Okay.
course. Hey, bye.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. Yalla.
Bye.
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 Yeah, bye.